Welcome back. You're watching France 24 and it's time for Media Watch, our roundup of the top stories in the press. James Creedon is here with the latest and the freshest, not just from the French press this evening, but the international media as well.
That's right. Lana, it's amazing. I mean, even the Google homepage has a homage to Steve Jobs today.
It
is
the top story of the day.
Absolutely,
Definitely.
Especially online. He had such a role to play in media internationally and in technology. So let's have a look at the front page of the website Wired, a sort of a tech website, and you can see that they've devoted pretty much the whole front page to Steve Jobs. And actually a little further down there's a quote from none other than Bill Gates. The world rarely sees someone who has had such a profound impact as Steve had. And the quote goes on, and it's an extremely I suppose it's a homage to him, and that's what we're seeing really across the media, and not least of all on Twitter. This is just one tweet that I pulled out. 3 apples changed the world: Adam and Eve's apple, Newton's apple, and finally Steve Jobs' apple. And one of the hashtags, it is actually, it's nice, I quite like that. And one of the hashtags for Steve Jobs, a hashtag of course is how you organise various tweets on Twitter, is thank you Steve. So there you go.
Just a sign of how many tributes are coming in, really.
That's exactly it. And that is, I think, the main theme to what we're seeing online this evening: tributes and eulogies and homages to a man who did so much, I suppose, in the tech sector. A lot of this too, you can see ISAD, that is another hashtag that is being used to organise tweets. People have been going wild with this ISAD or
It's interesting to see how much he changed just the way we consume information, the way we consume technology, and even the way we talk, the way we write.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's extraordinary. He had just a massive impact. And just another tweet that I came across, I never thought I could be so busted up, I suppose it's American slang for upset, about the loss of someone I never met. That was actually the top tweet under hashtag Steve Jobs. So I suppose some people who I felt attached to...
deeply affected, absolutely.
Deeply affected by it. Now, Storyful, I thought it was quite interesting that this is the Storyful Pro website. A lot of the videos that they had flagged up today were videos of Steve Jobs down through the years, and various videos of him. I'm not sure if they're actually there. They seem to have been eclipsed now. But here we are. You can see this was one of his first TV appearances, and notably an appearance he made at Stanford University in 2005, a commencement speech, which many saw as very inspirational. So we'll take a listen.
Very beautiful.
It was a beautiful speech. We'll take a listen to a little extract from that.
Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary.
Steve Jobs was already battling illness at the time.
That's right, in 2005, and it was the illness, pancreatic cancer, that eventually did take his life, but he survived a lot longer than most people do with that illness. And here are more quotes on Mashable.com. Stay hungry, stay foolish. So an inspirational character, to say the least. And elsewhere, they're talking, this is on a French website, Oni. It's a sort of a tech and society website. You can see here Steve Mobs, the character of Steve Mobs in Simpson. Anyone who's been Simpsonized is already a bit of a star,
successful, I guess. We can safely say.
Indeed. Now, but they're sort of, I suppose, putting it all in perspective a little bit, they're saying that, he was a genius, but he also surrounded himself with other extremely intelligent people. And what was more important perhaps than his own genius was the fact that people around him believed in his genius. And I suppose that inspirational quality that he had, that motivational
quality. That's a kind of charisma that's also extremely rare. I mean, obviously he's not the only mind behind the iPod or the iPad.
Right.
Obviously there were massive teams working for that.
But I suppose it was that figurehead quality that he had that was also very, very that made a big contribution. And they do say exactly what you said in Oni, that his presence in some ways eclipsed the contribution of other engineers, designers, creative technicians, like a singer who gets all the credit, I suppose, for the composer's work. So it wasn't, of course, just Steve Jobs, but he was a figurehead for a whole, I suppose, design movement. And that sort of messianic quality that he had is, I suppose, best represented in this 2010 cover of The Economist. Economist, The Book of Jobs, where he's, I suppose, portrayed as a godlike figure, you know.
I remember that one very well.
Indeed, it was one of the, I suppose, key moments that kind of showed him as this god of technology. Now, TechCrunch is another website, a kind of a techie website. They've taken it to the nth degree. Steve Jobs is important to us because of the gift he gave mankind. The gifts he gave mankind are innumerable. Again, just eulogizing. He gave us the gifts of elegance, of clarity, of drive. He gave us computers that spawned industries, phones that paid millions of salaries. So really, you know, ratcheting up that praise. But elsewhere, you do find people who are speaking about another side to Steve Jobs, I suppose.
There are some articles that are less complimentary.
That's right. And this one, Arrêt sur Image, it's a website in France that looks at the media and kind of picks apart things. And here, you've got Daniel Snyderman saying, well, he employed underpaid Chinese who had to work in polluting factories to create useless gadgets imposed on the public through incessant advertising and marketing. So others were less convinced of the role he had to play in I suppose, history.
I would say that's harsh, though. He definitely changed millions of people's lives.
I think so. I think, you know, that there are two contrasts, or I suppose two extremes, and the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle.
Thanks very much for that.
Thanks, Anna.
James Creedon. That was Media Watch. And do stay with us on France 24. Web News is up next. We round up the top internet content of today.